everyone, welcome to episode 35 of the Addydae Designs video blog. I'm Deanne, I'm a crochet designer, sometimes knitter, hand-dyed yarn enthusiast from Australia. I'm recording this in Canberra where I live, and this podcast is essentially about what I'm making, what I'm designing, and anything else I think you might like to hear about that's related to those. So, how's 2020 going for you? Yeah, don't answer that. Yeah, just we'll just ignore that, shall we? Yeah, it's been interesting for us here. I know it's been interesting. It is interesting for everyone all around the world. I'm not going to go into it. You all know we've had fires here, then we had floods. Now there's other business going on. I'm not going to talk about it here. I hope that you understand that by not discussing it and by recording this, kind of like I usually do, I hope you realise that I'm not trying to be flippant or diminish the seriousness of what's going on around the world, but I'd like to provide this video as a bit of an escape, let's say. I mean, if you want to know what's going on around the world that's serious, you can watch the news, right? So I'm just going to keep this related to all the goodies that I generally show you and keep it at that. So I hope you understand, and I hope it provides you a little bit of distraction, let's say. Alrighty, so in any case, I hope you're well. We're all good. Yeah, so let's just start talking about the yarn, shall we? I'm definitely going to be a little unpolished today. I apologise in advance. My brain's a little bit scattered, as I'm sure yours is too, but thank goodness for crafting is one thing I definitely can say. It is very much a welcome distraction at the moment, as I'm sure you'd agree. So I have a lot to show you, a lot of things to show you. I've got finished objects, I have whips, I have designs in progress, I have a new design to show you. So this episode is jam-packed. I hope you enjoy. So we'll start with a couple of finished objects, shall we? Hopefully I can keep speaking correctly. This one you have seen before, and I was virtually finished, so I apologise, it's not going to look that different from last time, but I finished my Montville shawl. I only had, I think, 2/3 of the final row to do. It has been blocked, but then it kind of got folded up in a bunch of other things to have the ends woven in, and clearly, or maybe not clearly, but there, I still haven't done that. So it is complete. I'm really happy with it. The lace opened up a little bit at the bottom. Again, it's hard to show you when it's jet black. I can't really get it. Oh my goodness. I do believe this may have been freckleized. Yeah, the cats, you know what it is? It's the alpaca. They love anything with alpaca in it. They will dig out of my stash if if they have the opportunity, and carry it around like a baby. So clearly I need to get the, what are those rollers? The lint rollers that you use on clothes to remove hair. Oh gosh, now they're floating around in the air everywhere. Okay. I'm sure any of you cat owners can relate. But yes, there is my finished Montville, ready for the cooler months, which is awesome because we are headed, well, we are in autumn now. Some of the trees have changed completely already. Others haven't even started. I don't know whether because it was such a warm summer that it's taking a while for things to cool down. It's kind of like we've got both extremes. Some of them seem to be taking longer for that reason, and then there's others that are just like, oh my goodness, it's been so hard. Can I finally just drop all my leaves already and go into hibernation? And they're completely naked. That's what my girls say when the trees lose their leaves. Yeah, they've just dropped them just all at once and they're completely gone. So yeah, it's kind of been weird. And then we've even had some trees in our local area that thought it was spring somehow. The spring flowers were out on a couple of ornamental pear trees, which should not happen this time of year. So even the nature is confused at the moment. The flora, that's plants, isn't it? Yeah, so it's going mental. But that's my finished object number 1. I have also been on a bit of a hat making binge. I know, isn't this year meant to be the year of the rat? Is that right? Have I got that right? You know, with the Chinese years? I could very well be turning it into year of the hat, because I've made that many. Imogen has put an order in for several for this winter, because she loves just wearing a slouchy hat everywhere. As soon as it's cold enough, she's got a hat on. It's great. So I have an order for a few more hats for her. But yeah, these are for new designs, you may be happy to know. So the first one is this one. Again, I haven't woven the ends in, sorry. But if you look closely, you can see the halo on that, because I have double-stranded it with some mohair. So this is yarn from Fiberific. Chantel's a dyer here in Australia, and that's where I got this yarn. Any of the yarns I talk about in the podcast, if you are new, will be in the show notes below with links to all the good stuff for you, just so you can click on it and go straight to wherever you want to check it out further. But it is so soft. This is, honestly, even though I planned to do it and everything, I did have a concern that this would feel scratchy. It doesn't. It is so soft, and now I want to double strand mohair with everything. I've got a bit crazy. Yeah, this design features post stitches, as you can see, in a bit of a, it looks basket weave stitch, but it's not. I changed it. It's modified basket weave, I suppose you could say. I did modify it for this design. So yeah, it's a little bit different. It's got a beautiful double brim. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's, how do I show you that is? But yeah, so you start at the brim and then you fold it in half, join it as you go, so there's no seaming per se, and then work from the brim up to the crown. And I found, oh, look at this pom-pom though, seriously. I got this, I found, it's an Etsy store in Australia. I'm going to have to find the name. Her pom-poms are beautiful. I bought half a dozen from her the other day, and they arrived within a couple of days, and I love them. And this one was my favourite, because it looks natural, but it's got pops of all different colours in it, which I love. So I thought it would be perfect on this design. So there you go. This one is going to be called Thatcher. I have almost completed the instructions, so it will be going into testing very shortly. And once that's done and it's been tech edited as well, I will get it out to you. So this one's really close, so I promise you won't have to wait too long for this one, I hope. I've made promises before though, haven't I? So yeah, hat number 1. Then, now, if you have been following me for a while, or you follow me on Instagram or whatever, you will know my sock patterns, the Segway socks and the Rundle socks. They're my 2 most recent sock patterns out of the whole 3 that I have. I decided to make hats that match. Now I know it's not important for hats and socks to match clearly, but clearly seems to be my word this week. Interesting. Oh my goodness, I am so out of practice. Yes, so I have made the Segway hat and the Rundle hat using the same stitch pattern, which I'll show you a bit more closely in a minute. And I've kind of done a similar thing with the hat patterns as I did with the socks. Now I don't know if you guys knew this, and I can't remember if I talked about it, but essentially Rundle and Segway, they're kind of like cousin socks. They're very similar in that it's a ribbed sock pattern. The stitch counts are very similar, but I wanted to change it up because I didn't want to just, you know, throw out another pattern that was 99% the same as the previous one. So they feature a different toe, a different heel, and a different cuff feature. The hats are going to be the same. So essentially they're the same. They're both ribbed. The Segway hat's going to have the 3x1 rib, same as the socks, and the Rundle hat's going to have the, okay, I'll say 1x3, just to reverse it, ribbed pattern. The Segway hat is created from bottom up, and the Rundle hat is created from the top down. So you get to utilize different shaping techniques. Obviously you're increasing if you're going, well, you guys know, okay? But yeah, just to change it up a little bit, give you a few options if you have a preference, whether you like to make hats top down or bottom up, because they both have advantages. Top down, you can, this is the top down one, top down you can try it on as you go and use every last bit. You can also check out how much slouch you've got, etc. But you also get to do on the hat the same invisible finish as I used at the cuff of the Rundle socks, which I really liked the finish on that, so I've done the same on this one. It creates an invisible, completely invisible finish to your final round so that you can't tell where you finish. So if you've got the Rundle socks, you'll know what that is already. And then the Segway hat has a patterned decrease. I don't know how well it's going to show up for you, but I did maintain the pattern as I decreased as well. And same with the increases in Rundle, it's a patterned increase, so you maintain the pattern as you increase, so the crown still looks funky. Yeah. Hopefully you like all of those features. Just to keep it interesting and to make them, here in lip gloss again, make them a little bit different. Yeah, so there you go. This sample, I don't think I'm going to put the contrast with the stripe, the small stripe, in the written instructions for this one. I just decided to do it. I may still put in the pattern, I don't know. But that was using a Miss Babs yarn. This one, I can't remember the base, but again I'll link it in the show notes to the project page so you can see the yarn. And this yarn was a gift that my sister got me when she was overseas from, let me see, she said it was one of those, I'm going to get it wrong. Here's the label, which I'm covering up the name. That's the label, and it's the Sublime base, I think. Yeah, Sublime base, so fingering weight, 80% superwash, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. So Greenwood Fiberworks is where this came from, and this is the Arcade colorway. So that's what it looked like in the ball, and it is so soft. So perfect for a hat. And I thought the colours went really well together. And then I got this pom-pom at, where did I get this one? This one I got at Skein Yarn in Coffs Harbour, which is something else I'll talk about a bit later too. So yeah, so 2 new hat designs, or 2 more in addition to Thatcher, coming your way soon. They're nice and simple, yeah, nothing too technical. Obviously you just keep working in the pattern till you get to the shaping, or once you've done the shaping. Yeah, so something nice and relaxing. Let's face it, that's what we need right now, isn't it? Relaxing projects that aren't too taxing on the brain. So there you go. That's 3 hats and all finished except for weaving in the ends. So I've got to do that. Now I do have another hat design coming out, but it's it's actually a collaboration with Stephen B from Stephen B Studios, and I don't know if I can show you yet. It's set for release at the beginning of April, or I think it's like April the 2nd is the launch date that's set. So that's a new design that will be coming out, but for the first few months it will only be available from Stephen B. So I will probably just check my Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you can I'll announce there when it's available and how you can get your hands on it if you want to, because it will, it's just available through him originally. It's made using black wattle yarn, which you know I use quite a lot of because Angela's literally just up the road. Yeah, I'm dying to show it to you, and it's actually sitting right there. But I don't know if I can give you a sneak peek, because I haven't been given the go ahead to release any info about that just yet. But I'm sure you'll hear all about it soon enough. So there, that's a bit of a teaser. Sorry. So that will be 4 hats. So like I said, Year of the Hat, 2020 Year of the Hat. It'd be nice for 2020 to be known for something other than something else. That we shall not speak of here. Alrighty, so they are my finished objects to show you, but I have some awesome whips to let you see as well. Now I actually thought I had shown you this a while ago, but I don't think I have. I don't know, I think I might have shown it to you ages ago when it was in, I showed you a bit of it. It was this long strip, and it, you know, it was only about 6 rows, and I worked out pretty soon after that it wasn't going to work. I was going to run out of yarn. It wasn't going to work as far as the design I had in mind, so I had to change it. So this is what it's morphed into. It's very similar, and I'm trying to find the finished side. So what I'm trying to make out of this, and it's going to be a little bit hard because it's still in a whip state. I'll hold it up. It's going to be not quite a poncho because it's going to be seamed here underneath, or like side seamed. It's worked flat. This is the front, so there's the neck shaping. And you know, it's all about the shaping. I love including nice shaping for you. And there's even shoulder shaping, which is rolling a little bit, but once it's seamed it won't. So it's going to be just a little, kind of a little throw over, something when it's getting colder but it's not freezing. You know, you could wear it over a long sleeve tee, just to toss over, just to keep your chest warm without it being a vest per se, because yeah, I'm not really a vest wearer. So it'll be loose. It's quite boxy on the bottom. So I've shaped the top, but as you can see, there's no shaping to the bottom. It's got this sort of rib detail on the side, and then more basket weave. Slightly different again to the hat. I'm just going a bit nuts for post stitches at the moment. The texture is just really appealing to me, so I'm wanting to put it in everything. I know it chews yarn a bit more, but at the same time it provides a thicker fabric, so you can be working with fingering weight, which is my favourite weight of yarn to work with, but still create a thicker fabric. And I've got hair stuck to my lips. A thicker fabric, even with just the single strand of fingering weight yarn. So you're creating that warmth, but it's still got lovely drape without having, because you're not having to go to the extent of doubling the yarn, because then that would really create a thick fabric. So I'm hoping that this will still have some nice drape, so that the boxy shape, you know, isn't stiff, because we don't want that. Yeah, and it'll be just like a nice little throw over to wear with, you know, sort of casual pair of jeans, long sleeve tee, and toss this over the top when it's getting a little chilly. The yarn I am using for it is by another amazing Aussie yarn dyer, Katrina from Pirate Pearl Yarns. So this is a collaboration with Katrina. and she's been very patient waiting for this design, I have to say. This is Katrina's Blackbeard base. It's 90% Polworth, 10% silk, 340 meters to 100 grams. It is lovely. It really is. It's just so soft on the hands. This particular color is Ice Flow, and it's a beautiful warm grey, I think. Would you call that a warm grey? I'd call it a warm grey, I think. It's certainly not flat. There's quite a bit of variation in this, as like a semi-solid variation, I mean. So I haven't, because this is worked in rows, I can't alternate in the same way. I generally alternate hand-dyed yarn when you're working in the round. So all I did, let's see if, can you see it on this one? You can see where I've changed the ball, just to break it up. Look, it's possible, you know how it is with hand-dyed yarn, they vary ever so slightly. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed that yarn dyers can get even two skeins to look similar to one another. How they can do sweater batches where the skeins look very similar is beyond me. I think they're amazing. So while they're not identical, I just decided to break it up into smaller sections so that any variation wasn't, you know, you can just got a tiny bit left at the end that looks clearly different to the whole lot. Does that make sense? Yeah. Hopefully making it less obvious. So yeah, this is probably not as close to being ready for release as the hat, but I have got the instructions in a loose form. Does that make sense? Written up, so hopefully that won't be long either. And I think I really want to get it done soon as well, because we're in that perfect transition season where here it's getting cooler, but in the north it's getting warmer, but summer isn't here yet. So yeah, I'd really ideally like to get it out sooner rather than later, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm making no promises with that one, okay? This is just pure teasing on my part. You know me, you can't rush these things. We'll get there in the end. So, of course, because I can't just stick to one and get it done. See, showing you all of these whips, I'm doing myself a disservice, aren't I? Because if I'm saying to you, you're going to have to wait a bit longer, you're going to go, well, Deanne, if you just concentrated on one at a time, maybe you would get it done. But I don't know, are you the kind of person that gets bored with just doing one thing and needs to change it up a little, or suddenly you see something new and you get inspired and it's like, oh my goodness, I totally have to try that? Yeah, that's me. Or is that just me being easily distracted? Makes it sound like I'm 3 years old. That's so bad. Okay, so confession time then. My new distraction, aside from post stitches, is bobbles. Bobbles seem to be massive. Have you noticed that? It seems to be in new designs everywhere. There are bobbles everywhere. So I had to start something using bobbles, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. This is a prototype for a new design as well. Let me get it all straight for you. Alright, so my obsession with double stranding mohair and a strand of fingering weight yarn continues, as you can see here, and adding bobbles for even more texture. This is actually working out really, really well. I'm trying to hold it so that I can show you, but it's not. It's curling at the bottom, but it won't stay curled up. So here's a close-up of the bobble detail and the yarn, and it's going to be the yoke of a sweater when it grows up. And what I've done, you can't tell from there, so there's the back of the neck and there's the front. So it's hard when I'm holding it up because it just pulls it together, but I've raised the back of the neck so that it's a little bit higher, the back, just to give it a bit more shaping. So there are just a couple of short rows in there, not a lot, but just enough just to lift it that little bit, to provide that nicer shape to it. It's worked in the round. This side that I'm showing you, actually, with the bobbles popped out on it, that's actually the back of my work. So you work it in the round with the inside facing you, so that the side that faces you as you're working is going to be the inside. And it's really weird because I always think of the side facing me as the right side, but the bobbles, when you work them in the round, it pops them out on the wrong side. So that's what it looks like as I'm working it. So that's the side that faces me as I'm working it, but that's the back, technically the back of my stitches. Isn't that weird? So yeah, very happy with how it's going so far. I'm trying though to get the close to finished designs ready for you. Sorry if earthquake. The cat has decided. Hang on, I'm going to have to move him. Radar, no. No. Say hello. This is Radar. I have my camera set up. It's a very professional setup here right at the moment. Camera set up on the ironing board in front of me, and he loves lying on the ironing board to have a nap, which is really great. Hence all the lint rollers in our house to get cat hair off our clothes, because yes, the joys of owning cats. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly stop and start the camera. One sec. Back. Okay, so that is my bobble sweater. I don't know what I'm going to call that yet. I have to finish designing first. And as I was saying, yeah, I've got a few other designs that are a bit closer to completion that I want to try and concentrate on. I've really tried to hide that from view. All of that work that I showed you just before, I did over about 2 evenings because I could not put it down. And then I thought, you know what, I need to put it out of sight because it was distracting me too much, and I really wanted to focus on these other ones. So yeah, I am trying to focus. I promise you I'm trying to focus and get some stuff done. Do you know what? I've just realised, where are they? I have 2 more finished objects that are not here for me to show you. One sec. So I'm back again. I knew there was more, and as I was looking and saying they're all my finished objects when I finished with the hats, I was thinking, I'm sure there's something else. Like I said, my brain's a little scattered, so you'll just have to bear with me, please. Okay, now this is a pattern that is, it's this close to being ready. Because, okay, backtrack a little. Last episode I talked to you about a design I have almost ready and wanted to know if you'd be interested in a mystery crochet along. You remember me asking that? Okay. I had to think about it, and I've decided that right at the moment I don't think anyone needs any more surprises in life. So instead of releasing it as a mystery pattern, I'm just going to release it, so you can just get stuck into it straight away. You'll know what it looks like. There's nothing mysterious about it. I'm sorry if that disappoints you. I hope I haven't disappointed you too much. I will still do it as a crochet along. When it's released, we'll have a cowl and I'll organise some prizes, and we'll do a thing like that. So that fun side of it, that will still happen. I am just going to dispense with the mystery part of it. Yeah, so no more surprises. So I can now show you, because it's not a mystery anymore. Okay, so you're ready. Now this is a collaboration between myself and Catherine of the Australian Wool Store, another Aussie dyer here in Australia. So these are her yarns. I will link below to these pages on my Ravelry project page so you can see the colours. But yeah, they look awesome. Okay, you ready? Okay, so ta-da! Oh my goodness, doesn't that colour pop? I think I remember these colours. I think this grey is Grandpa's jumper. The really bright violet is Violet Femmes, I think. And the purple is Radar. Is the dark purple is Iris. Radar, you can't be up there, darling. You're going to knock it over and wobble the camera. Off you go. No. No. Out. Oh my goodness. You know there's more cat hair flying around. Oh, that could have been disastrous. Oh, and he's going to try again. You sneaky monkey. No. Yep, you can stay there. He's lying on his back now like, I'm just a pretty kitty. No. I'm so sorry. Okay, so, yes, here it is. So it's a crescent shaped shawl. Now this one was my first prototype and I made it using a 4mm hook. The second prototype I thought, sorry cat, I thought I would try it with a 4.5mm hook, and it was amazing the difference of the shape to the shape that it made. So while this one is quite a narrow asymmetrical triangle, the next one, and I'll try and hold them together so I can show you because it was very interesting. Absolutely nothing else was changed in the pattern except for the hook size. And I would have thought that that would have made the stitches grow in both directions, but it really didn't. It didn't make it very much longer, but it definitely made a difference to the stitch gauge as opposed to the row gauge, which changed the shape quite a lot. But I'll give you a close-up of the lace because there's little sections, oh sorry, of lace. The camera's struggling, there we go, and I'm probably not holding it very well. That's better. So there's a small section of lace there and then a bigger one here. And then you've got this awesome pop of colour on the bottom, which tapers. So there's only a small amount of it there and then it gradually gets wider and wider till, I can't see what I'm showing you, till the point. So this is going to be called Dip. It is 3 skeins of yarn. So we all have, and here's proof. I'm sure, well, proof that I have, but I'm sure you all have too. You know, those beautiful single skeins that we can't resist, and we end up with a bit of a collection of colours that you can't really do much with. But putting together 3 colours isn't too difficult, so I thought, well, that was the purpose behind the design, was to be able to just make choosing your colours fairly easy, being able to raid your stash fairly easy because we tend to accumulate those pretty single skeins, and being able to make something with them. The other great thing is that even though you alternate, like stripe all of these for the lace sections, you're doing all these stripes, you can, I don't know if you can see there, can you see where I've carried the yarn? And can you see it from here? You can barely even notice it, and it's and that's on the section that's on the top section that gets wrapped around your neck anyway, so it gets hidden there. And then what I did for the bottom end, the lower edge, is that you conceal them as you work along, so that they are not there. They're completely hidden on the lower edge of your shawl. So there's a lot of different techniques used in this one. So you've got lace, you're changing colours, you use short rows for the colour block on the edge. So I hope that it's an interesting project without being too difficult. And again, it would be awesome if you can use up some yarn stash. So here's the second sample, again with Catherine's yarn from the Australian Wool Store. So this is the other one I did. Again using a grey. It is speckled, like look at that, this is my favourite one. Oh my goodness. Those speckles are just amazing. And then there's the lace, bigger section of lace and the pop of mustard. And this is good. I can't really wear mustard. I absolutely love mustard as a colour and I just can't pull it off. But I figured, you know what, I think I can probably get away with this amount when it's in a shawl with some other colours. So I'll show you, see if I can show you the difference. I'm not sure if it's going to fit in the camera view to show you how much difference just a change in hook size, just based on my own personal gauge, can make. Let's see if we can do this. I should have prepared this earlier. Okay, so I've grabbed the edge of one end and, oh, it's not huge, but you can see that it's made a difference to that, oops, to the width. And I felt that it was important. So I ended up writing in the pattern the new gauge with the larger hook because if you're like me, I struggle with, I love asymmetrical shawls, but I struggle with how to wear them because I don't know if you are like this, haven't I already said that? I always feel that when you put them on, I'm always trying to get the point from an asymmetrical shawl to sit here, like wear it reversed, like bandana style. But generally, they're not that wide on that finished edge, and so you don't have enough of this side to sort of to keep it like that, and then it just doesn't work. So what I've decided to do with asymmetrical shawls, one, I made this finished edge a little bit wider, so you do have that little bit more fabric to wrap around. But I've actually, the way I wear it is, instead of the point facing down, I actually have the point on the side. This is really hard to do while I'm recording. And so it kind of creates a feature of the point still, but you're wearing it off to the side. So you've got enough of the other of the tail, the end tail, to balance it over there. Because if you try and keep that point in the center, the weight's all on one side, and I find they tend to keep sliding off, or at least twisting around. But if you tilt it like this, gosh, I hope I'm not making a dog's breakfast of this, I'm so sorry. If you put it on the side, like that, it puts enough weight on this side to keep it in place. You've still got your feature, which for this design is your beautiful lace section here. And then what I like to do with this pointy end, because it's quite long, is tie a cool knot in it. It makes me feel really trendy when I do that. Like I know things about fashion. So that's how I wear it, and it stays in place. So yeah, I hope you like it too. It is about to go into my tech editor, and I just need to finalize the photos. So the moment that is done, this baby will be available in my Ravelry store, and you can make your own dip with all your pretty single skeins that you would like to use up, that you've been saving for something. So yeah, I hope you like dip. I'm really happy with it. I've even, along that, I don't know if I showed you. No, I didn't show you. I know I didn't show you. Here you go. That, oh. I'm not doing this very well today, am I? Apologies again. I've got that little contrast stripe between the body of the shawl and the edging, just as a little finishing feature. Just, yeah, wanted to make it look all neat, and that was something I thought would look good. So I hope I hope you like all of those little features. As I said, it's not a difficult design. Even the lace section is not difficult. I've described in there how to carry your yarn so that you don't have all those ends to weave in, because you know how I feel about a million ends. I don't want a million ends to weave in. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with how it turned out, and I hope you like it too. So there you go, another pattern coming out soon. Did that sound like I was trying to sing? I should not do that. Sorry. Alright, I have one more whip to show you. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this already. And this is really... as you know, I have plenty of yarn. I don't need to buy yarn, I've got lots. But I had lots of leftovers that were originally all in the cupboard here. And what I found was I couldn't... It was just making things messy. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it was making things messy. I couldn't see the full skeins that I wanted to see to know what I had when I was looking for a full skein. Every time I opened the cupboard, they were falling out, the small balls. Yeah, but I'm not a big scrappy person. And don't get me wrong, there are amazing scrappy projects I've seen other people create. For me, I find it really, really difficult to do the random thing. Yeah, that's me. So I wanted to use all my leftovers up. So what I did was I cleaned them all out of my cupboards, and I put them in a big basket. Well, truth be known, I tipped them out on the lounge room rug a number of times to see what colours I had and how they might be able to work together. So it's scrappy, but it's not completely random. I just needed a bit of continuity. So if you've seen my Instagram, you know what I'm about to show you. But I have to say, I am so happy with how it's working out, and I'll explain how I've gotten around the randomness of it and the fact that the colours are changing very, very quickly because there's small amounts of yarn. So this is it. This is my scrappy blanket. Or not so scrappy blanket, I don't know. It's a stitch I made up. It could very well be in a stitch dictionary somewhere, but I didn't refer to one when I did it. The stitches in the coloured bits are just US trebles. So that will be UK double trebles in blocks of 4. There's no chain between them. I've just done... I should just keep holding it up, shouldn't I? I've just done 4 in each, hang on, you can't see what I'm doing, in each little chain hole, chain space. Gosh, I should know the lingo, shouldn't I? In each chain space, and you just work across. Oh look, I'll show you the top row, and then you can see it easily. Okay. So you're essentially just doing a row of trebles across the top, 4 at a time in each chain space. And then the contrast row, the white, is just some leftover Bendigo Woolen Mills 4-ply that I had in my stash, and so it's every second row. So you've got the continuity of the white everywhere, or like all the way through. And to soften the colour changes between the leftovers I was using, what I've done is I've always carried one yarn into the next row. So it's double-stranded. I didn't mention that, did I? So here in the first row, I've got this multicoloured grey and a darker grey, I think. Gosh, I don't even know what I've got. No, so a multicolour and then a grey. And so in the next coloured row, I've carried the grey into there, but changed to a plum, like used it with double-stranded it with a plum. Then in the third row, I've have I? What have I done? Oh, I've continued the grey again in the third coloured row, but with a lighter plum. And then in the next row I've kept the lighter plum, but added an apricot. And so on. So whatever colour, at least one of the colours is always carried into the next row. Does that make sense? So that you get this softening between coloured rows, because there's always a little bit of the previous row in there. So it gives this kind of mild effect, I suppose, which then doesn't make it so, doesn't make the contrast so high from one coloured row to the other. And that's really helping me to cope with the fact that it changes colours so much. I mean, look, you can tell I didn't completely, didn't totally randomly plan my colours. I started going a bit lighter and then a bit darker. So, there's an element of random and scrappiness in it, but it's not completely. And then, what I've also done, I haven't trimmed these off yet, I've just tied the ends together with a knot, and I'm going to cut a fringe, because I am not weaving all those ends in. It's not going to happen. I can tell you right now it would never happen, and it would put me off finishing the blanket, to be perfectly honest. I just couldn't face it. So choosing to do that has turned it into a really relaxing project for me, because I know at the end I'm not going to have to do that, aside from just a pair of scissors and a ruler to make sure that I'm getting them roughly the same length. And I am enjoying it so much. And when they call these kind of things memory blankets, I'm like, I will never remember yarns I used 4 years ago. I have. Every single yarn that I've used in this is like, oh, I remember when I used that. And it's a beautiful trip down memory lane. It's a relaxing project because I don't have to think about it. I mean, the most taxing thing I have to do is count to 4 when I'm counting how many trebles to work in each chain space. And sometimes I get that wrong, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so much. The other piece of advice, because I'm so professional at scrappy projects, the other thing I did, because the colour changing thing was, I was finding that a little difficult, when I tipped all my yarns onto the floor, there were probably about maybe 5 or 6 colours that just clearly were not working with the others. They just would have stood out like the proverbial, and I didn't want that. I really did want it to be sort of harmonious, if that makes sense. Clearly I have favourite colours. That it made it very obvious, the colour palette that I'm drawn to. So once I pulled those 5 or so colours out, it was like, oh, I could virtually have gone random and just reached in and grabbed the next colour, because they were sort of fairly related, is what I'm trying to say. The only reason I haven't gone totally random is because if I'm introducing a new colour, I have to be sure that it can either that there's enough to do at least 2 rows if the other colour is finishing, or that if I only have enough for 1 row, that the colour it's being worked with now can continue on. Does that make sense? Anyway, that sort of takes the complete randomness out of it, because you have to be sure that at least 1 colour can be continued into the next row. So I am so happy with that. If you've never done a scrappy blanket before, and think that because they do tend to be too contrasting, or the randomness gets to you, I highly recommend trying something like this. The whole marling just transforms it, at least in my mind, because it's a mind thing, I think. Honestly, if it was just about using scraps and that doesn't worry you, have at it. I've seen fabulous looking ones. I look at them and go, oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. But for some reason, I just can't bring myself. Hey, sorry everyone. My camera memory card was telling me that it was full, so I had to make a few adjustments and come back to you. But I was pretty much done anyway. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been lovely to catch up with you. Please take care. Please look after each other. Hang in there. We're all going through very similar things no matter where we are in the world. So yeah, look after each other while we do, hey. And we'll try and stay in touch a bit more, shall we? I think online seems to be the way to go. I've set up a new, yes, just quickly before my camera card fills up, I've set up a new Makers Meetup group on Facebook if you're interested in joining me there. I'll have bits and bobs popped in there and we can chat and you can share projects that you're making from my designs and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm really going to go. Take care of yourselves, everybody. I hope you're safe and well, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye.